What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another edition of Crossing the Line podcast. We are back to full strength once again. All four of us are here. Myself, Tyler Zulli, Mike DeVella, Mark Fagnani, Jack Molesky, a despondent Jack Molesky, because as we record this, the New York Rangers aren't faring so well, buddy. You okay?
We're fine. I mean, worst case scenario is 2-2, but up 2-0 going home and then dropping both. This team might suck again.
It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. Jack is the dog in the fire room right now.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna light this place on fire. So
I'm gonna take my stapler and I'm gonna
I'm
light
let
this
Josie
place
know
on
to
fire.
get out.
she's taking a shower, so I think she'll be fine because water, fire, weakness type thing.
This isn't Pokemon, Jack.
Well,
There's
I don't know.
real life consequences to this.
Nah, we're right.
Guys, we got a lot to get into today. Breaking news around the NFL this afternoon. We're going to talk about the NFL draft, which is this week. And we, of course, will have some fun on our final segment that belongs to that despondent man down in the corner, Jack Molesky. Hopefully he comes up with something a little bit more fun and not somebody kill me, please, from the wedding singer.
1,000 ways to die, and you guys have to come up with the most creative one for me.
I think it's already playing out before your eyes. We don't have to...
Rangers blow 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup Finals.
That would be tough.
Jack
all right,
burns the apartment down.
We got a lot to get to, so let's jump right into things right here on Crossing the Line. Yes, we got so much to get into. And of course, guys, we have to start with the big news of the day. But before we do that, I will just humbly ask once more. If you found us on YouTube, of course, just hit that subscribe and hit the like button for this video. And of course, if you have any future ideas for a video that you'd like to see, if you want to see more Gary, if you want to see less us, you can always make that happen right here on Crossing the Line. And of course, you can find us on Apple Pod, on Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast, you can tune into this beautiful, wonderful, humble radio podcast program.
Lost us on the last one. Humble?
Never been in my life.
No.
Nope.
Not for a second.
I'm about as humble
This
as
podcast has such unwarranted swag, it's not even funny.
Hell yeah. There it is.
We talked about swag last week with Joe Burrow. We don't have swag.
Yourself, Tyler.
But it has okay, let me rephrase that. I don't have swag.
More like it.
You guys, maybe a little bit.
I don't know,
Marcus
man.
literally
13-year-olds, they found the podcast over the weekend, and I think they like it. So shout out to them if they're watching.
Your athletes found
They did.
videos, huh?
They did. Right before winning the
good.
championship yesterday, they found my videos.
I can hear it.
Maybe it was
now.
I think it
motivation.
was.
Coach Mark, you don't have swag. That's what it's going to be next.
You're not
couple
cool.
weeks.
Dude, they're going to get me on like Tuesday or Thursday. I already know it.
Mark, you need to take a poll of show of hands next week. How many of them are subscribed versus not, and just start like benching anyone that's not subscribed.
That's who
Oh, you're not
plays.
subscribed? Well, I guess you're not pitching today either.
Yeah, it's only fair.
You're going
I
on
think
a
so.
15-day IL for not subscribing to my podcast.
Three BP pitches. Get out. You're not playing today anyway.
Send them to the minors. There's no minor league, but send them down anyway.
That's cool. We got to
Coach Mark hit me in the cages again. What the heck?
I just
Turn-
keep throwing it in my head.
Turned the pitching machine sideways. He said it was a curveball machine. It just kept gunning it at me.
Oh,
It's
God.
live.
Like you guys are at practice. This is crazy.
Coach Mark is creating a live action from the Edmundo Sosa throw that hit the ump in the face.
All right, guys, we have a lot to get into. Of course, we have to start with the big news of the day. That is A-A-Ron Rod-gers is out of the NFC, and the tumultuous end to his time with the Green Bay Packers does come to an end as he is traded to the New York Jets. A handful of picks get swapped, including first-round picks this year, which is pretty negligible, quite frankly, because the Packers move up from 15 to 13 and the Jets vice versa. The Jets get a compensatory 2, which could become a 1 if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, which I would anticipate more than likely happens, barring injury. So, guys, realistically, what this comes down to is the Jets get a first-round or give up a first-round pick, presumably, for the services of a 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers. So, before we get into any of the deep dive stuff, just your thoughts on the trade and the compensation for an aging quarterback.
It can't be worse than what they've had to endure for the last 10 to 15 years.
Mike White is good. Don't you say that.
He was electric. Best backup in the NFL. Go Dolphins. But literally that's my only take. Like if you're the Jets, drafting one hasn't worked out. Zach Wilson sucks. He's definitely not the guy. Aaron Rodgers may be reinvigorated. Maybe he's still probably one of the top 7 quarterbacks, pure talent wise, in the league for at least another season. Take a shot, take a run. Why not?
I honestly just think Aaron Rodgers is trying to do his best Brett Favre impersonation at this point. So I guess let's look out for the Vikings next.
I will say the New York Jets are now the most exciting third place team in football. Like, they're going to be fun, but I don't think they're going to do anything crazy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still can play a little bit, but to me, it's Buffalo, it's Miami, and then you get to New York. And while obviously a massive upgrade from Zach Wilson, while maybe a downgrade on the swag factor, an upgrade in play, and they're definitely going to be a little bit better, especially with Breece Hall coming back from injury, the second year for Garrett Wilson, whatever they do here at 15 in the draft. But again, how many more years does Aaron have left in the tank? He's going to go up against several really, really good teams in the AFC, and we can get into that more, how ridiculously loaded the AFC is right now. But it's just going to be something that I think is going to be very short-lived. It's going to be similar to the situation with the Brooklyn Nets. Everyone got excited when they got all these really good players, and then how many games did James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving play together? Only a handful. And I
16.
think that's going to be the same type of thing with the Jets. I mean, maybe they have one good season, but I can't imagine that they're going to do something like what Tampa Bay did with Brady and bring in this ridiculously good older quarterback with a young nucleus and end up winning their first year, because that's the model. They're going to have to do it in the first year. I don't think that they're going to get any better from there. And it's just going to be really difficult to kind of hold that team together when you get to a point where Quinnen Williams needs a new deal, where you need to start re-signing some of these young guys. Sauce Gardner is going to get paid. I know that, they're a couple years away from that, but again, how many years does Aaron Rodgers have in the tank? That's what we're going to need to know.
The Jets.
I agree with almost everything you said there, but does Zach Wilson really have swag if he sucks? Can you have swag if you suck as bad as he sucks?
I mean, the moms love him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just said we have an unwarranted swag. I don't know, depending on how you view our podcast, some may say we suck.
We were really, really good college drinking game athletes.
That's fair.
Maybe some of the best, honestly. I like
and Mark could have bagged a mom if he tried.
There's a difference between could and did. And Zach Wilson, undoubtedly, at this point in his career, that's going to be the only accolade that he comes away with in his NFL tenure, because he's not going to start another game in the NFL. He may not even be on a roster in 2 years.
So he gets cut, right? Or attempted to be traded?
They're going to try to trade him.
Because there's no salvaging Zach Wilson at this point. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to want him in the quarterback. Like, the one thing with Aaron Rodgers is he's going to get a lot of what he wants. Kind of like Tom Brady did, kind of like I just expect in that regard, I do expect it to be similar. He's going to get a lot of what he wants. They acquired Allen Lazard. They went out and they brought in the offensive coordinator whose name I am blanking on currently, was with the Packers. They brought Nathaniel Hackett in, didn't they? To be their offensive coordinator, I believe, or an offensive coach who was with the Packers before the disastrous head coaching job in Denver. Like,
is their coordinator not LaFleur?
Oh, you know what? It is. Now I'm getting sidetracked. So I'll look it up, and I'm going to continue to spew nonsense. I'll let you guys talk while I spew nonsense.
Sounds good.
Well, the one thing I do want to add to that too is that everybody knows Aaron Rodgers is not going in there and looking to make friends. We all know that he's going to be himself. He's going to be just a massive dick. There you go. Okay, cool. So they do have Hackett, and
I know things and I drink beer. Something like that. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Throw redneck of you. Love that. But dude, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Anybody who isn't going to benefit Aaron Rodgers, you're going to get the cold shoulder from him. Like, it's not going to be an enjoyable experience if you're the third string receiver. Like, if you're Elijah Moore now, you're so excited that you're out of that franchise, because if he's not somebody that Aaron Rodgers has already played with, or a superstar in the making like a Garrett Wilson, you're not either making the team or you're not getting any targets. And that's going to be a miserable existence for the guys who are on that team and have been significant contributors to a certain degree, to the point where they're trying to vie for a starting job in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers comes in and he picks his favorites and he does whatever the fuck he wants, because now he's like the Chip Kelly of that team now. He's going to get to control the team. I know Robert Saleh will be working decently close with him, but like at the end of the day, that offense is going to be Aaron Rodgers to run. He's going to have the most input. Like, they're not making that deal unless Aaron Rodgers has the keys to the kingdom. And anybody who's not on the Aaron Rodgers team, like if you're not team Aaron, then you might as well just ask for a trade now.
Well, and you bring up Robert
Team
Saleh.
Jacob.
You have
Oh, he's so Team Edward. Oh my God.
dude, I don't even know what the difference. Listen, I know they're both Twilight, but I don't know the difference.
Don't you
Like,
lie
I know
about
there's-
this, Tyler.
One also died in Harry Potter like a little bitch. Cedric
See,
Diggory.
yeah, but see, he plays
so over.
He plays Batman. He plays Batman better than
My
most.
boy.
So it balances out. Like,
that was the script writing more than anything else.
You could suck in Twilight and be the Batman, and like Batman's going to balance you out.
If Riddler knew the killing curse, his ass was dead 10 minutes in.
You know what's screwed up though? Nobody believed Harry and Amos Diggory. Like, they were all like,
Yeah, because Harry was a little bitch throughout most of his time frame, and he got carried. Harry was a system wizard. All right.
Whoa.
He was a system wizard.
You can't quantify heart.
Sure,
Now-
he didn't even have the most heart.
He literally did. He talked himself out of Slytherin to get to Gryffindor.
he had
Hear
love.
me out. Hear
That's
me
what,
out.
what ended up
Hear me
winning
out.
against hate, love. That's what Voldemort didn't have. That was the
Couldn't kill him.
He had
He had-
all those
okay.
Horcruxes, but he didn't
So
have
he
love,
had
and he
love,
died.
right? So good for him. He had people that cared for him.
And you know
But
who
if
else
it
has
weren't
love?
if it weren't for Hermione and Ron, they would all have been dead in the first movie.
Can we acknowledge that, like, Harry's parents, like, his dad was a bully, bro? He was a terrible person.
He's a
Harry,
jerk.
not a good person either. How are we, like, making these guys heroes? They're terrible.
So did Voldemort do the world a favor?
I wouldn't go that far.
Your father was a swine.
How did we get on this?
But I did want to transition back. You know who else has love? The Green Bay Packers. And now they have the 13th overall pick.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Wouldn't it be
after he left his mess
unbelievable?
trip.
Wouldn't it be unbelievable if they ended up drafting a receiver after all those years?
I hope they do.
For Aaron Rodgers, that the first year Jordan Love takes the keys, they end up getting Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston and saying, F you, Aaron. We'll see you later, bud. That would be incredible.
I hope they trade for
Would be.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, my. What a middle finger to the face.
That's
Hey,
double.
by the way, Aaron, fuck you, dude.
So this is DeAndre. He's one of the greatest receivers in the history of the game.
Oh, you don't want to stay? Oh, no.
Aaron Rodgers has checked back into his darkness chamber.
Do you think Aaron forces
6
the
more
entire
weeks
offense
of
to
meth.
go? Yeah, to go into a darkness chamber before the season starts.
No, but it definitely makes them all eat mud for sure.
It's holistic. It's organic.
Oh, God. The worst thing that ever happened to Aaron Rodgers was Shailene Woodley. Jesus.
Make them eat mud.
It was a divergent transition in his life.
Bro, it was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Got
saying.
off the rails so
Some
fast.
people look better with like short hair than long hair. I don't know why Shailene Woodley cut her hair.
No. It's bad.
Pregnant at 16.
Objectively, like very hot in the Divergent movies, and then like went like woodland pixie, converted Aaron, and all of a sudden, I don't know. Yeah.
And
No,
then
it's
Aaron grew the hair, and Shailene cut it off.
Aaron grew the hair and then greased it up.
He hasn't watched that in 3 years.
That's gross.
So the
That's
AFC's loaded.
So getting back to football here.
Is that what we're
I
talking
do-
about?
At some point we were. Guys, I do want to ask you though about this acquisition, and you did mention, Mike, you brought it up, Jack, you just said it as well. The AFC, at least at the quarterback position, is stacked. And the NFC, on the flip side, is not at all. It's like I texted you guys and I said, so Geno Smith, second best quarterback in the NFC now? Because I think it's pretty clear cut at this point, even after one season. It's Jalen Hurts, and then there's like a chasm between him and everybody else.
They suck. I mean, the NFC is like legitimately bad at quarterback. I don't know, like the AFC. I mean, you look at Russell Wilson last year, and everyone was like, "Holy crap, they're adding one of the best quarterbacks in the game," and he was obviously not good, but you'd still probably take your chances with Russ over 95% of the quarterbacks in the NFC. So it's a huge drop off. When you could legitimately make a case that Daniel Jones is a top 5 quarterback in your conference sucks.
Yeah, it's certainly a real
it's
thing.
Like
I'm baby.
The second best quarterback
it
is going to end up being Bryce Young when he gets drafted number 1 overall. That's going to be the second best quarterback in the NFC.
I mean, you think about the quarter, like, forget the middle ground guys for a second, because there's a ton of them, but either unproven or just flat out bad quarterbacks in the NFC. Whoever the Buccaneers decide to go with, Baker Mayfield stinks, and Kyle Trask is unproven. The Panthers don't have a quarterback yet. They will, and I'm sure it'll probably be Bryce Young, but they don't have a quarterback yet. I guess you probably would consider Derek Carr among the upper echelon of the bad quarterbacks. And the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder, still is kind of up in the air. So you go to one division alone, and that's probably the worst division of the 4 in the NFC. But you go to that division, and you have one average to slightly above average quarterback and a bunch of guys who either haven't proven themselves or aren't good quarterbacks.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, like 2 years ago. All right, Kyler Murray's easy number 2. Now, again, Kyler, we don't know what he's going to become.
I really think it's Geno Smith.
It's Geno Smith, or call me crazy that Jared Goff might be number 2. I mean, the way he played last season
for sure.
I would say Jared Goff is my 2. If I had to pick one guy outside of Jalen Hurts to start my team with, and the NFC quarterbacks were the only pool that I could pick from, it would probably be Jared Goff.
Can I combine? Can I go like Kirk Cousins first 8 day games of the season, and then Jared Goff, sprinkle him in a couple times?
Kirk Cousins is
the worst
quarterback ever. Post
3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That's true too. I was gonna say November.
I want to ask you guys something. If I gave you 3 quarterbacks and you could smush them together and make one quarterback of all the NFC quarterbacks not named Jalen Hurts,
okay,
who would you take? And would that Frankenstein quarterback be better than Jalen Hurts?
I'd take Kyler Murray for the elusiveness on his feet.
Yeah.
I would
take to look like a toddler running with a cell phone. For
sure. Yeah, just for the memes, honestly, not even anything to do. I just like the media attention your team would get. I would take the accuracy of Geno Smith, and I would take the arm strength of Derek Carr. And it's probably still not better than Jalen Hurts, but
you got a pretty darn good quarterback. But that's my point that I'm trying to make to you guys is like the NFC's quarterback grouping it's not even average. It's below average to bad at this point.
You know who we're not even talking about? I just thought about
Jameis
Dak Prescott,
Matthew Stafford.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Honestly, he's not that bad. He's not that bad.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's bad. I just don't think he can throw anymore. I think his injury is significant. I'm not so sure he's ever going to be able to be that guy again. If he pre-injury, he's absolutely 2 and might be 1, but not now at this point.
That's fair.
When honestly not that bad is your criteria for your top 5. Again, we get back to what we've been saying here is like the AFC, without even thinking, we went through our top 5 quarterbacks in the league when Mike wasn't here last week, and there was one of them that was from the NFC that remains true today, and one guy that I don't think you could have made a case for top 5, but you could have made a case 6, 7, 8 on the list. Aaron Rodgers moved from that NFC over to the AFC, so the AFC probably has 9 of the top 10.
Yeah.
10 of the top 12. I mean, I don't think it's really even much of a debate.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna talk about that, the top 10, if you remove Jalen Hurts from the conversation, wherever you want to put him. I think Mark had him at 2. Jack, you and I had him at, I want to say 4 or 5. You had him at 3.
Maybe.
You're
I don't
talking
know.
about you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. You're talking about Justin Herbert. You're talking about Trevor Lawrence. You're talking about Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I mean, that's 5 right there, and you probably could name a couple more. Tua is probably on the list before most of the NFC quarterbacks, assuming he's healthy. Russell Wilson could probably be back on that list with a legitimate coach and not an idiot for a head coach.
Hey, we never know. Lamar
so down
in the NFC.
Well, and that's the thing is I'm leaving Lamar off the list entirely right now because I really don't know where he's going to play.
I don't think he knows where he's going to play. I don't think anybody in the entire Ravens organization, his agency, him, I don't think anyone knows.
All right, let's go around the horn real quick so we can clip this later and go viral. Everyone predict where Lamar Jackson's going to end up right now.
Ravens. They'll sign him.
What the fuck? Go viral. Pick something else. This is all about going viral.
Start over.
Washington Commanders.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He can be a Detroit Lion next year.
I've been calling for that for 6 months now. That would be oh my God, that offense would be so good.
I think he's going to go to the Green Bay Packers and win him a Super Bowl in his first year.
The London Silly Nannies.
That would be funny.
DC Defenders, your new quarterback is Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, MVP of the XFL after only playing 3 weeks for 38 touchdowns and 12,000 yards.
What a story that would be.
And chugs the last beer to top off the beer snake as he walks out of the stadium.
What a true hero. That's the hero we all needed.
Just some ridiculous donor ends up paying him so much money to go to the XFL. Elon Musk decides he wants to give him half of Twitter stock to be able to play in the XFL, and he ends up going and taking the entire league by storm.
I don't know. The XFL salary is $60,000 now. That might be more than Twitter stock after how it's tanked.
He'd get half of Twitter's stock, but he just still wouldn't get a blue check mark.
He would only get a blue check mark to be able to play.
That adds up. Count the months. You have that for the rest of your life.
A gold check.
Ooh.
So
that's a golden ticket.
To give you a realistic answer, it's probably the Baltimore Ravens. To give you something that we can circle back to and we were right, I am going to say, well, I have the draft. And if you're going to tell me you're going into a season with Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell as your 2 quarterbacks, I'm going to tell you you're going to win 6 games.
And one of them is going to be against the Eagles. Who's going to piss us off.
That Washington team is too talented personnel-wise to win 6 games. And they probably will win a stupid game against the Eagles somewhere.
It'll be like the one game we lose in the year or something stupid like that.
It's crazy, though, that there are those teams out there like Washington, like San Francisco, that don't really have the quarterback, but the rest of the team is ridiculous. And because they don't have a good quarterback, they suffer as a result. And I'm not saying that Brock Purdy can't be that. He showed flashes last year, but again, he's coming off of injury. You don't know what that's going to look like. And it's so weird to me that it does show how important the quarterback position is in the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback that's up to the challenge, no matter how good your team is in the regular season, maybe wins a playoff game, prove something. Even the Dallas Cowboys, I'll throw them in there. That defense is great. They've got a lot of really good offensive weapons. And Dak Prescott has shown time and time again that he falters in those big moments. If you don't have a quarterback who can really drive you to the extra, get you that extra touchdown at the end of the game, or it's kind of like the same thing as basketball. If you don't have the guy who can take the shot at the end of the game, you're probably not going to end up winning and get into the next round because you need games like that to be able to advance. And that's really what you can always look at the quarterback position and say, this team has a shot to win the Super Bowl and this team doesn't. And we can always name on one hand the situations where a guy or a team had a quarterback who wasn't necessarily that echelon and still was able to go on and win the Super Bowl. And chances are that team was so special outside of the quarterback position that they were able to get it done. But again, that's why it's so important for the Jets to get someone like Aaron Rodgers, because he can get them to a Super Bowl. Not saying he will, but we're going back to that conversation. Quarterback is everything in the NFL. I think it's very self-explanatory to say, but you don't really understand until you're in that situation with a team that you're a fan of that can really go out and get to that next level because of that position alone.
Yeah, you have to be borderline elite now at quarterback, I think, to have a chance to win in the NFL. Like this would be a fun exercise, but like teams that have a top 10 quarterback in the league, and I guarantee you one of those 10 teams will win each of the next 5 Super Bowls. Unless injuries are ridiculously crazy against the teams they play in the playoffs and they get crazy lucky, which does happen in sports, it's going to be one of to 8 teams over the next 5 years because they have franchise quarterbacks on their team.
So the outlier, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a trivia question here, outside of Nick Foles, of course, because that was an entirely weird situation that doesn't happen frequently. The outlier to this is I'm going to give you guys a segue to this, and you tell me who the quarterback is. If I give you a quarterback
Trent Dilfer,
who's won more recent than that, won nearly 70% of his starts, has a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and consistently, when healthy, it puts his team in positions to win, and went to a Super Bowl.
Jimmy G.
It's Jimmy Garoppolo, right?
Yeah.
And he's the outlier, because Jimmy Garoppolo, if you look at those numbers, you go, wow, that's a pretty good quarterback, right? Been to a Super Bowl, been to 2 NFC title games. But he's the outlier, because if I say Jimmy Garoppolo, you go, whatever.
I immediately started shaking my head because I'm like, Jimmy G is just he's a guy that you look at and like I've never understood the hype for him. I never get it. But I mean, I guess I never really looked at the stats either. I see it, but he's still
statistically he's good, but he's not the type of quarterback that you guys are referencing. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? He's not that guy.
The 49ers are probably the only exception to the rule I just laid out in front of me, because that team is the concepts they draw up, the way they run that offense, the fact that their running game is basically a passing game sometimes with how advanced those running plays are. Like, they're the exception to the rule, because I think the Eagles still probably win that game, but they're definitely not getting blown out 31-7 if Brock Purdy is in for the entire game. Like, they are a tough team to play against. They're built for the postseason. So they're probably the exception to the rule. They could get to the Super Bowl without a top 10 quarterback, but I don't really think anyone else in the league could.
Can Trey Lance get them there?
No,
because Brock Purdy's better.
Can Sam Darnold get them there?
Less.
No.
That's your quarterback options for this year, because Brock Purdy's not going to be healthy to start the year.
No.
But they also started slow last year. And again, that defense is so good.
So good.
To me, it's far and away the best in the NFL. And they just added Javon Hargrave in the interior on the defensive line. I mean, how good do you get before it's just an embarrassment of riches? And again, they're doing the same type of thing that the Eagles just did without having to pay a quarterback a ridiculous salary. So they have all these stars on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball that they can pay. They have that luxury because they're not paying the quarterback $50 million plus a year. And it'll be interesting to see, because obviously we just had the contract extension for Hurts. And I know you guys touched on that a little bit while I was away, but for him to be able to...
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
Well, you're welcome. I was playing with the Country Bears. It was a great time. We jammed out. But yeah, I mean, going back to the Hurts thing, for somebody to be in that situation where they can enjoy the embarrassment of riches, let's say, for the rest of your roster outside of the quarterback position, you still need to have a quarterback that plays at that level. And that's why we haven't seen the 49ers win anything yet. They've gotten to the 1 Super Bowl, but Jimmy G, like we pointed out, was playing to a tier that you can argue is good enough to win a Super Bowl. Obviously, that was against Patrick Mahomes. It was a different story in that specific case. But if we get to a point where the 49ers are able to get enough consistent play at the quarterback position, if they can get Brock Purdy back later in the season, I do think that he has the intangibles to win them a Super Bowl. And I do think that their talent defensively, and with McCaffrey, Kittle, Samuel, to be able to lead them throughout that offense. Again, maybe I'm wrong in saying that Sam Darnold can't do it, because out of all the guys on that roster outside of the quarterback position, it's loaded.
I'm going to say something, and this is not I don't mean this in terms of productivity, because clearly Purdy was the more successful quarterback. If you're going to give me intangible stuff, I would take Sam Darnold before I took Brock Purdy. And I don't mean that. Obviously, the track record of last season, Brock Purdy was sensational when he came in. But to me, Brock Purdy is the least talented quarterback on the 49ers roster. I think Trey Lance is the most. I think Sam Darnold's second, and I think that Purdy is last when it comes to talent. Now, you talked about you can't quantify certain things. The guy knew how to win when they needed him to, but how much was it schematically Kyle Shanahan, and how much was it Brock Purdy?
You're a wizard, Purdy.
We talked a lot about
the best story. Purdy's the most fun story. That's like
the boy who lived.
Come to die in the NFC Championship game
in Lincoln Financial Field. So we've talked a lot about the NFL, and I know we've got a little bit diverted from the original conversation of Aaron Rodgers. But guys, the NFL draft is this week.
Yeah, baby.
Mike and I have already done an hour and a half's worth of first round coverage, so we're not going to bore you with the annoyingly boring stuff. We're going to play a little bit of NFL draft superlatives. And so I will give you a bunch. I'm sure you guys have some as well. I'm going to throw these out to you. And you guys tell me quickly, and then you can describe it a little bit later in better detail, why you give me this answer. So, for example, what I mean by a superlative is when I say the number one overall pick will be, you say.
Mark.
Not Will Levis.
Bryce Young. It'll be Bryce Young.
Zach Edey.
Fuck you.
Zach Edey, two-sport, mega average.
What a crazy quarterback. He can definitely see over the line, let's be honest.
It'll take him 5 years to get from the 20-yard line to the end zone.
Oh, and everybody's been knocked down by Sonic Boom.
I thought life wasn't Pokemon.
Apparently it is.
Life emulates art, and Pokemon is art.
God damn if it's not.
It wouldn't have survived this long otherwise. All right, so we have some superlatives for you guys. I want to get your definitive thoughts on this. First one on the NFL draft. The best player in the NFL draft is, regardless of positional value, the best player in the NFL draft is. Jack, I'll start with you.
Will Anderson.
Damn it,
I think he's Khalil Mack 2.0. He's versatile as hell. He's a game breaker. He was really good at Alabama, and then last year, I mean, he was all world 2 years ago. He was still really good last year, and that's because everyone in the nation knew how good he was, and they tried to scheme the hell against him, and he still was really, really good. But like in the NFL, like an Aaron Donald, whose stats aren't amazing, you still know he's one of the best defensive players because he commands so much attention and it frees up so much other space. So I like Will Anderson as just the best overall player.
I hate when I agree with Jack, but Will Anderson is probably the best player in the draft. When you're getting a comparison to Von Miller, and like, you know, he's that good, honestly.
He's that guy, pal.
I'm going different, and me and Zully have already spoken about this a lot. My guy is Jalen Carter, and you know what? I'm going to give him two comparisons that I think are applicable for the level of what we're seeing of off the field type of stuff. I think Warren Sapp is one that he reminds me of, and Albert Hainsworth is the other. Just two freakishly talented guys who had their off the field shit, weren't necessarily obsessed with football in the gym every day, and that's the concern about Jalen Carter. But I just think that this guy is so unbelievably talented. If he wanted to be the best defensive tackle of all time, he could put himself in that conversation. I think that's how talented he is. We won't see until he ends up letting his career play out what he's going to become, but I do think that that level of talent comes around once in a generation. I truly think that that's the type of talent that he can be.
Yeah, guys, I agree with you, Mark. I hate to agree with Jack, but I am going to make it 3 for 4. I think it's Will Anderson as well. Edge rush is such a priority in today's NFL. Not that it wasn't in decades past, because you would have these guys that would rack up big sack numbers, Michael Strahan and Mark Gastineau, and all these guys were legit 18, 20 sack guys. But I think the definition of the edge rusher as it changes and allows you to be a little bit more roamy, allows you to be hand out of the turf a little bit more, plays so well to Will Anderson, where he could be in 4 different positions at any one given time. And I think that Von Miller is a great comparison, Mark, where Like you could have him play hand in the dirt either end, either defensive end. He could play a 3-4 linebacker if you need him to. He could play the Hassan Reddick free blitzer type role. Will Anderson would be a definitive difference maker from day one.
He's extremely athletic. It's kind of crazy with his size and frame that he's as athletic as he is.
All right, guys, I got a handful of these, but do any of you have any you'd like to throw out? So that way I'm not just throwing stuff.
I got an easy one for you. Your most hated player or bust, up to you. I would say most hated player in the draft. I got an easy one for this one, but I'll let you guys
go first.
It's Will Levis, all right?
It's Will
Levis because, and I'm going to be honest here, fuck Will Levis. Everything about him, I don't know what it is, man. It's much like Manny Machado. I think I just hate him.
He was.
They like him. I hate that people think he's good.
Yep.
He's not. He's not that good. He's got a good arm. Cool.
He sucks. We saw like literally the same. NFL scouts and GMs are so dumb because the same thing that happened with Zach Wilson is happening again with Will Levis, and it's not even like 5 years past. Like this guy was mediocre in college, and then he took his shirt off and he threw a couple of long balls, and they're like, "Holy shit, he's a top 5 quarterback." And he put mayonnaise in his
coffee.
Weird.
And this is what happened with Will Levis. He was a non-factor at Penn State. He ran the ball. He didn't even throw the ball. And then he goes to Kentucky and he's very decent. And then he's good against the bottom feeders. And then he's bad against the top teams in the SEC. And then he takes his shirt off and he throws the ball really far. And they're like, my God, this guy's amazing. He sucks. He's Chad Henne 2.0. He'll probably go top 10. He'll probably fizzle out. He'll be a backup for 3 years. And then he'll go back to drinking mayo while he works the aisles of a stupid like Southern convenience store. I don't know. The guy sucks.
Well, at least your guy that
he couldn't even beat out Trace McSorley or Sean Clifford. That's all I'm saying.
At least
you can't beat out those two guys for a starting spot. You suck.
At least you picked a starter. The guy I'm about to pick is Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa.
You don't
and
like
this guy.
Van Ness.
This guy is supposed to be a top 10 pick. He never even started in college. What are we doing? Did we not learn from the Mike Mamulas of the world of like, who gives a heck if you're a freaking combine superstar?
When did you get PG?
I was going to say that was the time you decided not to curse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mary Beth was like, Mikey, there's 10 F-bombs per episode and you already hit your allotment.
You've exceeded the limit for the show. Congratulations.
Oh, Mary Beth.
Mark my words. Fuck Lucas Van Ness. He's not good. Don't pick him in the first round.
The content we need.
Don't pick him top 10. Don't do it.
That's fair. It's Will. I mean, listen, it's Will Levis. I hate to agree with these guys again, but it's Will Levis, gadget player at Penn State. The guy's got a rocket for an arm. Mark, you brought it up. He's got a cannon. I think there's no denying he's physically gifted, right? He moves well. He's a prototypical size quarterback. He's got a cannon for an arm. And he doesn't know what quarterback play looks like, apparently. I watched this guy make reads that don't exist and fit balls into tight windows because he does have that rocket arm. And sometimes it paid off. And people go, ooh, and ah, like they're watching fireworks. But in reality, you're watching a sparkler, right? And sparklers fizzle out.
You know who else could throw the ball really far?
Will Levis.
Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell could throw the ball really far. He was a pretty good player, right? Saying.
It's true. I think that Will Levis will be in the NFL for a really long time. Because he is a big-bodied, strong-arm quarterback. I don't believe it's going to be for a starter for a very long time.
He's like the Ben Simmons of the NFL draft. The only time
at least he tries.
The only time you ever see him do good things, though, are on workout videos that he posts of him like throwing the ball down the field in a workout facility. That's it. Have you ever seen the man make a ridiculous play on the actual college football field? No, you've seen him throw the ball 1,000 yards in Haluba Hall or wherever the heck Kentucky practices. But you've never seen him do it in real
Probably
life.
Also Haluba Hall.
Probably.
Yeah, I might change my answer to Lucas Van Ness because as you were saying Van Ness like 3 times, all I could think of was Ness from Super Smash Bros. And that little thing's a piece of shit. And I love kicking his ass. Yes. Fuck that guy too.
Get good, Jack. Get
Peaky
good.
Thunder.
That's all I have.
All right,
to
let's
say.
go. Let's go sleepers because we talked about overrated. Let's go like not even underrated. Let's go like deep sleeper. I can't start my own question.
I'm gonna go.
Mike?
I'm gonna
That's
go.
maybe me.
I really love this guy. I would say they're probably gonna have him third round or so, third, fourth round from what I've seen. Tajay Spears from Tulane is a running back that I have fallen in love with. I think that kid is fantastic. I think he's a little bit undersized, which is really why he's going to slip. And we obviously have the Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs of the world going in the first round. But Spears is going to be somebody. He's going to be somebody who ends up coming out of this draft and being a perennial superstar player. I really believe that this guy is going to be a lead back on a contending team and is going to be a difference maker, similar to like a Kareem Hunt type talent that you find on day 2 or 3 that is really going to take the league by storm and be a superstar player. I think that's something that he could potentially be, and I'm excited to see where he goes because I think that he's going to be an exciting player.
I think Tajay moves out of the sleeper territory for 2 reasons. Tulane was really freaking good this year, as you saw in the bowl game against USC, and his combine numbers were off the charts. Like you watch, he stood out amongst a lot of guys in the combine. So I almost wonder, Mike, because I love Tajay Spears. I know you do too. I think a lot of people have started to fall in love with it. I wonder, does he almost get out of sleeper territory because of everything that's happened? You know what I mean? Like, is he even a secret anymore?
I don't know, but I love him. I think he's going to be amazing.
I want to go with Zach Kuntz. Dude's a standout in the combine right now. He's 6'7". He's 255. He didn't do much in college, honestly. But he also went to Old Dominion. Who's really fun to him? Let's be honest. I actually don't even know the name of the quarterback.
Todd Centeio.
Sorry, whoever it was. Yeah, you would know.
No, actually, I lied. He's James Madison's quarterback. Never mind.
Go Dukes.
I think at that size, good hands, good speed, good strength. He's a guy that could come into a team early and make a difference.
I can just say we all did NFL draft coverage for Com Radio as part of Penn State student radio. And I admittedly don't know shit about the NFL draft, nor do I particularly care much about the NFL draft. But Mark's description right there is the best thing about NFL draft coverage, because you can go into almost any player and be like, great mobility, good hands, jumps out of the gym, really good athlete. That's why he's a top 10 pick. And you can probably be right and sound like you know what you're talking about. And that's what I did for 2 straight years of NFL draft coverage.
One of my favorite things about the draft coverage is they'll like legitimate scouts and people who know the game better than any of us will use phrases that are so ridiculous. They'll be like, really just incredible bend in the hips. And like uses his ankle bend well. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
That Tyler's ruling elasticity. His elasticity.
They use No, God, no. You should. My wife's an athletic trainer. She tries to stretch me out at times, and it's like she goes, Tyler, you have like the elasticity of like a 90-year-old.
Oh, Bridget's asleep.
Oh, she said she was going to crash the podcast. She hasn't come in yet.
Waiting for the right time. She's just sitting.
Do I have to trash Morgan Wallen again?
Yeah, it might have to be Morgan Wallen.
Last night, Morgan didn't do his show. He canceled 5 minutes before he was supposed to go.
Look at Mike making up lyrics.
That's why he's
almost like you're a musician.
Country freestyle.
But I go back to Derek Barnett, right? The Eagles defense or former Eagles defensive end, right? He was all those sayings were applicable to him. They were talking about his ankle bend and his torque, and I'm like, how about, is he good at football or is he not good at football?
Doesn't matter.
And at college, he was good at football, right? He broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee. Like, he was deserving of being a first-round pick, and he just didn't pan out. But I look at some of these sayings, and I'm like, are we in an anatomy class, or is this football?
I just really like the way he looks when he stands upright. He's got a great posture. He's got great glutes. He's got a good butt. I love it. The guy's hands are huge, so he's obviously going to be incredible.
You know what? His eyelashes are really strong. Shows that he got a lot of biotin in his system. We want to make sure, obviously, his exhibital lobe is exuding a lot of confidence right now. So you could just make up random.
Speaking of confidence, he's got a super hot girlfriend. Very confident guy.
Well, and then you get to draft day. Speaking of these stories, you get to draft day, and then every story is a freaking sob story. Like I don't mean to be a jerk, but at some point somebody's got to be the jerk and say, why is 15 stories in a row like the saddest story of all time?
I think
everybody's.
I think me and Eddie were talking about this last year, and it was. I think we were watching the draft, and it was every single story because it also takes them 12 minutes to make a draft pick. Like they weren't gonna know who they were drafting the first round, and they're telling us this story. I'm like, man, how many do I just not have the right story to go pro? Is that my real problem? Like, would I just did my parents love me too much, or was did I never go lose a lung or something crazy? Like maybe I should just do that right now and then rejoin and see if I can do it.
I think about this 2 times a year, and it's when the NFL draft comes on and a new season of Survivor comes out. Because you can't make that cast now without having some if you didn't have a loved one die in the first 5 years of your existence, you can't make Survivor yet. Probst is immediately you're off the show.
Sad.
I think there's a moment in the NFL draft when that stuff happens and you're like, oh shit, I gotta go run for a box of tissues. As soon as you hear, let's go over to Tom Rinaldi with the story behind this prospect. And he'll be like, in 2012, Tyler Zulli had it bad. I'm like, oh shit. This is supposed to be a joyous night. We don't need this.
He had no arms and no legs. How he led a nation.
Imagine sitting
in the Fire Nation attacked.
Well, speaking of people dying. Speaking of people dying, Tyler, who's your deep sleeper?
Yo.
I'm going to stick with the running back theme, but I'm not going Tajay Sharp this time. I hate saying this because I hate everything about this football team and about this school. But Israel Abanikanda is the guy to me that I think is going to be a deep sleeper type running back from Pitt. I like him a lot. Roschon Johnson, you do this. Roschon Johnson is a good example as well. I don't know if you were going to go with him, so I'm sorry.
He was one of 2, but I'm going to go with another one.
But yeah, I think that there's a lot of really good, the athleticism just doesn't jump out for a lot of these mid-tier running backs, but I think there's a lot of really good third, fourth, fifth running. You Tajay Spears, you get in a Abanikanda, you get a John, get Chase Brown, even Mo Ibrahim, who the only reason he is falling is because of injuries, and he has 987 million touches in 4 years at Minnesota. There's good talent to be had in this draft at the running back position.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it out with, it might be a little bit of a bias pick, but what the hell, sleepers are sleepers for a reason. Tight end is incredibly deep. I know Mark already gave a tight end sleeper, but I'm going with Brenton Strange. He's not one of the top 5 tight ends in this draft on the board, but if you look what he did at Penn State, there's no holes in his game either. He can do a little bit of everything, and I think he's just going to be a really, really solid NFLer with a little bit of not even a little bit, a lot of upside. We've seen Penn Staters that have been okay in college or solid in college. Their numbers are great at the combine, and then suddenly they take off in the NFL. I think Strange is going to have one of those careers where he's just going to make a lot of coaches happy because he'll do everything right. And then if he gets in the right situation, I think he could really take off and have a statistically incredible 3 or 4 years in his career.
Dr.
Strange. All right, I have one more. I don't know if you guys have any more. Mark, before we go any further, do you have any?
No, I got no more.
Roschon Johnson was my other one. I think Bijan gets all the hype, and deservedly so, but Roschon is going to be a very good NFL running back, I think.
All right. One more for me, because we all did go to Penn State. We have to put a Penn State tie onto this thing. Joey Porter Jr. is very likely is going to be the first Penn State player off the board. So I want to ask you guys, because Mike and I touched on it a little bit this past week. Where does Joey Porter Jr. get selected?
15.
15 would be the
left hand up. Who
New
are
York
we?
Jets.
Oh, 15's the Jets now. So is it 16 the Commanders? I think he goes to the Commanders.
16 is the Commanders, yes.
Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. Yeah, Joey Porter, Commanders, 16.
You made me lose brain cells listening to that.
You suck so much, you suck at sucking.
Everything you have said was an incoherent rambling.
I award you.
And we're all dumber for it.
Thank God.
We're all now dumber for having heard that.
Simple.
I award you no points, and let God have mercy on your soul.
A simple no would have been okay.
He's gonna fall to the second round. That way we can come back to this, and then we can clip this, guys.
Wow.
And be like, wow, how did Mark know that? No, I have no idea, honestly. Much like Jack, I'll be 100% with you. I don't follow the draft like that. I like it. It's entertaining, but I don't know, man. It's just not like
I respect it.
Gotta be honest.
Because a couple of weeks ago when we talked we did our hockey preview, I was like boisterous, like I knew what I was talking about. I respect you guys for being like, yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna be there's this pride level thing for me where I'm like, I'm gonna get this right, and then I sound stupid more times than not.
Well, the best part about this is not many people listen to this podcast yet, so we can fire off ridiculous takes and then be like, holy shit, one of these actually hit, make a YouTube short and get like hopefully 1,000 views on it, and suddenly we feel good about ourselves. But yeah.
We put a YouTube short up of Gary and it got a 1.5. Like,
it's literally our highest viewed short yet of your cat.
Hey, he's a mascot. He's a dick. He's all these things.
He's the greatest cat alive.
He pissed me off last night, bro. I got home from just like the longest day ever. And I opened the door and he's like, you know what? Today's the day. Today's the day I try to run away. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, next time you do that, he just sprinted out the front door. I'm like, next time, I'm closing the door.
Listen,
you're outside.
Listen, that's nicer than what I told my cat this afternoon. To his face, I told my cat that I would sell him on eBay.
How much do you think you can get for him? That's the real question. And honestly, what would the show be like on that?
It'd be like that scene in Christmas Vacation where the box is jingling. She wrapped up her cat.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. Now that we're so totally derailed, I think it's time.
DJ, Mark? Drop that beat.
All right, guys, it's time for another final segment. This time, the fun belongs to Jack. So, Jack, it's all yours for the rest of the way, my friend.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So we talked NFL. I think sprinkled in one stupid comment about the XFL. So we have covered the two topics that bring this final segment together. NFL every single year. It's pretty entertaining on Twitter for like when the team get to show what their proposed rule changes were for the upcoming NFL season. The XFL has brought some new rules to the game that are pretty entertaining that I don't think the NFL will adopt. But with the commissioner being in the spotlight and giving weird hugs for the next 3 or 4 days after this podcast comes out, we'll put him in the spotlight again. And the question is, each of you proposes 2 rule changes. One that is realistic and that you want adopted by the NFL tomorrow, you think will make the game better. And the other is outlandish as you want to go the craziest rule change possible that you would just purely enjoy seeing. It can be something that actually might work. It can be so off the rails that we'll all look at you different for the rest of our existence. That's the question. I think we all go with our normal rule changes first, and then we devolve into chaos as we always do.
I like it. All right,
Tyler, you up to bat.
So I have said this for a really long time, and I think that this would give it would incentivize going for the points and decentivize or make the game less injury prone. The most dangerous part of football is kickoffs. And I have always been a big proponent of if a kicker from the 30-yard line can put the ball through the opposing uprights, I believe the kicker should award his team 1 point. I believe it should be an extension of an extra point. if you can knock down it, I know there's no defense, and I know these kickers have monster legs. Like Justin Turner's insane. He knocked down 63, with people in his face. But if you can go 70 plus, actually it would be 80, I guess, if you're going from the 30 to the field goal post. If you can kick it 80 yards through the uprights on a kickoff, I think your team should get awarded 1 point.
You definitely just alienated our top fan, by the way. Yeah, it's Justin Tucker.
What did I say?
Justin
Did I say Justin Turner?
That's his favorite player on the Ravens.
Did I just say Justin Turner?
You did.
My bad. Wow. I guess I got baseball in my mind, but it's not like Justin Turner's doing anything.
This is why you just admit. This is why Mark and I admit that we don't know shit.
I don't know anything. I pretend like I know some.
Left hand up.
Me and Tyler did a mock draft this week, and we both decided to pick Anthony Richardson, and I clicked on Will Levis. So,
well, that happens.
He fat fingered it. Yes, Justin Tucker would make a killing out of this 1 point play, but I think honestly it makes a lot of sense. It decentivizes returning kickoffs, which is the most dangerous part of football.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mark.
All right. I think one of them. Can we not do this today?
Gary!
I want them to get rid of the excessive celebration penalties. I think taunting, showboating, getting right in someone's face and basically saying you suck is like the best part of the NFL. Like these dudes are. It's way more fun when they actually get to just do what they want. I don't know how else to say it. Let them put Sharpies back in play. I want Randy Moss Moon in the crowd. I want all of this back, but I don't want any penalties for it, because how much more fun would it be to watch? It's like bat flips in baseball. How much more fun is it now that we get the most ridiculous bat flips of all time, and like we actually let them celebrate? I think it's more fun that way.
I agree.
And it's also like the referees take it upon themselves, like, no, I'm going to enter myself into this game. He was taunting him. Was he? I don't know, man. But he did just literally catch the ball over 3 guys. So, like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, fuck you. Like, I don't know, man.
These are grown men, right? Playing a grown man sport for large sums of money.
Huge.
If we're worrying about taunting penalties becoming to the point where players' feelings are going to get hurt, I mean, this is football. Like, I don't think a finger in the face is like a finger wag to Kembe Mutombo right in the face mask. It's not excessive. I mean, listen, you could go as far as doing the Kringleberry,
that third pump.
Hip pump.
Don't
thrust.
you dare.
You're just not allowed. You just can't pump 3 times. But I agree with you. I think celebrations are tremendous.
All right, Michael.
The third pump. You know what? On a broad scale, I want to take away every single stupid penalty call that a referee has in its arsenal to be able to make the game about them. I'm so tired of refs playing hero ball and making everything about them and being able to like do things so they can control the game and have as much screen time as possible. Anything that promotes that, get it out of my sight. But if I have to pick one specifically, I would say taking away the automatic first down from the illegal contact penalties. To me, again, that's one that's blatant. That's like, okay, you get the 5 yards on the penalty. Let's let the boys play. You don't need to award them a free first down as a result. And again, it just takes time away from the game. It takes time for the referee to get the chance to be on TV. It's not necessary. I feel like they can kind of move forward with it just being the 5 yard penalty, or if they even wanted to make it like something as an additional, like not necessarily a first down, but something else where they could kind of benefit from it outside of the 5 yards, that's fine. But again, I don't need the stoppage in play. I don't need the, hey, we're going to give you a free first down as a result. I think that's just going too far with it. And again, I want to see the guys play. I don't need them to, I don't need anything that can become a talking point about why this game was altered as a result of whatever happens.
I'm going to be honest. I have like one real rule change and 35 fake hilarious ones. No, right. Like I usually take these things so seriously, so that's why it's crazy. My one real rule change, the XFL does do this, I believe. I didn't do much research, but it's instead of an onside kick 4th and 15 from your own 25, essentially 15 yards to get a first down instead of an onside kick. I think that like onside kicks are great. They're crazy when they work. It's awesome, but there's so much luck involved in it. So like give a little skill a chance to play out in a game saving last chance by the team. I think 4th and 15, you'd still get some crazy plays because you don't draw that up very frequently. But yeah, one opportunity to get 15 yards from your own 25. And again, if you don't get that, then it's an automatic field goal for the most part for the other team. But I'd be interested to see how many teams would opt for that over the odds of an onside kick being recovered, which I think are probably even less than 4th and 15 being converted.
Fair.
Now for the fun stuff.
Do
we want to do same order or do we want to switch things up?
Go ahead. You guys can go the other way.
All right, Mike.
All right. I have one that stands out above all the rest. I feel like it would be unbelievable if instead of the coin toss going into overtime, you just have the triple B, the beefy boy brawl. You take your beefiest guy from each side, and if they go one-on-one, whoever gets in the end, like you go one-on-one on each side, whoever gets in the end zone, it's kind of like college football where they get one chance to score, then the other team gets a chance to score, and just do that one-on-one with like your biggest guy versus their biggest guy, and you're just trying to bull rush the other guy. It's kind of like Oklahoma drills, but trying to get in the end zone. I think that would be great TV. I think it would be fun, and it would be a better way than what the coin flip is to be able to determine how to go in and proceed with overtime. So that's my vote, the beefy boy brawl.
It's like like the NHL, they used to have the enforcer. Now NFL teams would literally like draft guys just to win the coin toss. It'd be awesome.
Have like a 7 foot, 400-pound dude just so you could like try to keep the other guy out of the end.
Yeah, like Tyson Fury.
I'll take it a step further. I think that they should. You guys remember in the old Madden games where you could do the mini games and you'd have like the one-on-one running back drill?
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be just like that. I think that'd be freaking incredible. You get music over top of it like you did Madden. Oh my gosh, that'd be phenomenal.
That just made me think of another good idea. Instead of a coin flip, it should just always be rock, paper, scissors.
I think it should just be a fist fight.
Yeah.
And you start every game
in the Super Bowl, while they have the halftime show, then we need to have an artist come out and perform during the Beefy Boy Brawl. Like we need some like Tony Hawk music or like Migos to come out and perform while you're watching two guys just get head to head. Fair. But
all right, Mark.
All right. I got a couple really good ones that are going through my head.
We can rattle off some quick after you break down your favorite if we have time.
Okay. I want each team to be forced to use just an average Joe.
God damn it, that was mine.
And he has to be in like a really like important position. He's got to be a quarterback. Honestly, you got to like put him at quarterback, let him run the series, and just see what happens.
I'm glad you said that. I'll use a different one that I had, but that was going to my mind, and I would call it the reverse celeb shot, where the other team gets to pick someone from the crowd to play one down as quarterback, but they have to throw every single down. They have to throw all 3 downs, and they can choose it in any spot of the game.
That 12-year-old looks like he could do it. I don't know, man.
I am 12.
You guys ever seen the GIF? It's like you've heard of ceremonial first pitch. Here's ceremonial last pitch. Bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Here comes Danny DeVito.
I threw the ball and they mashed it.
Oh, that's a good one, Mark, though. So good 2 people had it. All right, Zully, don't steal my second one.
I'm not going to. I hope I'm not stealing your second one.
You got 35. It's fine.
I've seen many Madden players do this, and I think it would be so freaking cool to implement it in real football, which would be NFL imperialism, which is if you beat the team you play. No, it's not as bad as it sounds. If you beat the team you play, you get to take one player from that team for the next week. So, like, if the Eagles and the Cowboys played and the Eagles beat the Cowboys, the Eagles could be like, we want Micah Parsons for next week. And you get that player indefinitely until you either get them to get taken by another team. So, like, players move teams one player for the losing team goes to the winning team every week.
That's pretty good. I like that. Okay.
That's cool.
It'd be really funny by like the end of the season, you have like the Chiefs are just completely stacked to the
Probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a way to do this. My idea, but we'd have to get some smart minds to execute the technology perfectly. It's called the inside man or undercover spy, but essentially, again, much like Mark's idea or our idea, with one down, for one possession, you take over the comms of the other team, but they don't know it. And you get to call every single play so your team knows what's coming for 4 downs of the game. You just hack into their comms. They don't know that they've been hacked into, and then you let your team know what's happening for 3 or 4 plays. So like if it's 4th and 12 from your own 2-yard line, you're hacked into comms. You're like, we're going for it, boys. Run it up the gut.
I like it. All right. Oh man, Jack, I need a second one from you.
Rapid fire.
Mike looks like he has another.
Oh man, I actually didn't. You put me on the spot.
One of my other ones. This is a dumb one because some teams would be at a huge disadvantage, but decide ties after overtime. It's just a fight to the death between your team's mascots.
Is it the people in the mascot or is it
no, like the real life mascot? So like Vikings, I mean, the Dolphins would have a tough time with tiebreakers.
That's a good idea.
What if
but like, yeah.
What if
I want
anything with anybody that carries a gun is at a distinct advantage. Like the Patriots are going to do well.
Patriots, probably the Buccaneers.
Right. So the
49ers.
Now hold on, is it a single Buccaneer or is it like does he get his shit?
It's got it. Ooh, that's true because Dolphins are really in pods.
True.
Does the Viking get his long oar boat or is it just a guy, one person?
Yeah, it's got to be singular for every single one. Could you imagine the Bears? That would be terrifying.
All right, I have an idea.
Hold on. The Chargers would win. They're just lightning. Just electrocute everybody.
Like I said, something that they'd beat the shit out of the Dolphins.
Oh, going back to Pokemon, what is immune to isn't steel immune to lightning?
Rock.
Oh, the Steelers.
Yeah. Rock and ground.
Yeah. We gotta find
But the Steelers aren't actually steel. They're just someone that works in a steel mill.
It's just a dude.
It's just a dude. It's a yinzer.
He's got his natty bow or his I see light in his light.
Yeah, right. Honestly, the Steelers might win because it would just be a guy saying why the city of Pittsburgh is so good, and every other mascot would try to off themselves.
All the yinzers over there.
Sidney Crosby.
Mario Lemieux's better than Gretzky. Oh my God.
Shut up, you win.
What if in overtime, instead of letting the teams play, we put a mascot and your best peewee team? But the mascot's a full-grown adult. We'll say they were like an ex-college athlete. So, and they can do whatever they want. You can run through the 12-year-olds. I don't care what happens. Like,
here's
like Indianapolis Colts mascot in my head.
Yeah. Here's one that's not as outlandish as these. It has to be from 30 yards or further back, but a kicker can call doink, and that adds 2 points to your field goal. So instead of trying to down on the middle, they can doink, hit either upright, and they get 5 points instead of 3.
I think that's a great one because one that I was going to implement the punter, and the punter can kick a pass to a receiver.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the punter can kick anyone that rushes them.
Antonio Brown. The last one that I have, and then I will give all my time for you guys. I think that you guys remember in NFL Street when they had game breakers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think you should be able to call game breaker once per game, and whatever yardage you get is immediately doubled.
That's a good one. I'm just laughing at this is so bad. You remember the GIF, and it's not a GIF, it's a meme. Mike remembers this, and also like on a super quick, serious note, RIP because not with us anymore. The meme of the kid that's playing football and he's doing all of this blind, and it divulges into rock music.
What the fuck is going on?
So you can call one play where the entire team has to do the play with their eyes closed.
This is just turning into backyard sports where you have all these different things like juice box and you can or spitball or random shit.
Right. Crazy.
I was going to say
Gleaming line drive.
I honestly, going back to what Mark said of the little kids, wouldn't it be hilarious if you had at halftime a Mighty Mites game of two local elementary schools of football, and there's a poll that goes out before the game for anybody who bought tickets to the game. They had to answer whether or not the Mighty Mites game adds 3 points to the winner of that team. And at the end of the game, if it's 31-30, and let's say the Chiefs beat the Bengals, but the Bengals had their Mighty Mites team win, and the crowd votes before the game to let that 3 points count to the end of the score, and you don't know until afterwards when you see the poll. I think that would be hilarious. I feel like your whole season's over because these 5-year-olds didn't score a touchdown.
Let's get Goodell on the phone. These are genius.
I want to reinsert some danger into the NFL. Let's get rid of the fair catch. Boom! Can of corn. Can of corn. I'll be right. Can of corn.
No whistles.
You need to get the Beefy's boy too, so that when they get run into, they don't get hurt.
Wait, I thought the Beefy boy could only come out if there was a coin flip.
Well, he's doubling it.
About these rules all of a sudden.
You need to find all these multifaceted ways to make that person a reasonable roster spot.
What is the Beefy Boys Madden rating?
He's probably a
depends.
73, but it's all strength.
It's 99 strength and 0 everything else.
It's
0 speed, 99 strength, maybe 99 blocking, something like that. Maybe
it's
I don't
the
know.
equivalent to John Heater in Benchwarmers when he has his baseball card. It's 7 squirrels killed. It would be 21 Big Macs eaten. The most ridiculous stats, and they would all transfer over to Madden, and your rating would be based off of how many loyalty cards he has at restaurants.
Mike, I think you also
just lost your membership to Video Spot.
We also might have just indirectly solved the Pro Bowl issue. Just do a Beefy Boy Bowl. No Pro Bowl, just the Beefy Boy Bowl.
Triple B.
That's what the people want.
The Beefo Brady's Beefy Boy Bowl.
Sponsored by Big Baller Brand.
B.
Bingo.
And on that
SpongeBob.
And on that note,
BB.
I think we wrap this thing up for the day because this is getting ridiculous. So, guys, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
No.
Honestly, I think my final thought is I'm going to get Roger Goodell on the phone. I'm going to just propose a couple of these. Beefy Boys being the first one for sure. And just wait for the 2024. It's going to be
soon, huh?
Oh, I can make things happen.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. We will be back next week with a brand new episode of Crossing the Line. I'm sure we'll be able to react to the NFL draft. We'll continue to discuss the NBA and NHL playoffs as they progress into the second round. So you can find us all on Twitter. You can get to the social media pages, by the way, Instagram and Twitter, Crossing Line Pod. Mark, there's talks that we may even dive into the TikTok world.
We might. Our shorts are pretty good. So
you can find us, of course, on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, continue to hit that like and subscribe button. Please, we really appreciate it. Our goal was 40 by the end of the month. We are well over that, so thank you so much. We will talk to you next week right here on Crossing the Line podcast. Good night.